Jax is a character who, according to the creator Gooseworks, is most deserving of being trapped in the digital circus. That doesn't mean he is evil through and through, however, and in fact, we're starting to see some hints that there is more to him than the others might realize. So let's talk about that and where I think this might go in the future. My name is Deepcut, some friends call me Deep in the Box. Yes, I know that sounds like deep in the closet, and don't forget to subscribe. Now, on the surface, Jax is mean. He has no problem attacking someone with words and threats to see their reaction, but he also isn't afraid of following through and doing something to try and hurt you. This is inside of a video game where no one can really be hurt, but there's the very real possibility that he wants to hurt people in these ways outside of the circus. However, some people think we've been seeing glimpses that Jax may not be all that bad. This recent episode showed this the most, with Jax not being an absolute terrible person the whole way through. For instance, one thing a lot of commenters asked me to talk about was the fact that Jax seemed to respect Zubal's pronouns while also still antagonizing them. Now, there could be other reasons in-world for this, ranging from simple in-world normalization to this just being something that Jax has moved on from. But with other glimpses of a perhaps more friendly Jax, some fans want to interpret this as Jax actually respecting the other characters on some level and just trying to find ways to mess with them that he thinks isn't that dangerous. This was in an opening segment where Jax also claimed he genuinely didn't mean to hurt Gangle despite breaking her mask yet again. While Ragatha is quick to get angry at him over it, fans once again wanted me to talk about the idea that this might be a hint that he's a nicer guy than we think. I've even seen one comment suggesting that Jax was someone who got blamed a lot when bad things like this happened, and because of that he would lean into bad behavior, wanting to do the thing that he was already going to be blamed for. This is unfortunately a real thing that happens to some children, not just those prone to mischief, but those prone to accidents as well. And when you're young, being clumsy and being destructive can be treated like the same thing. The most obvious moment of Jax actually being nice in this episode, however, is when he simply asked Pomni how she is doing and really attempts to relate to her. This happens when Jax is exhausted from the work so far, to the point where he doesn't even want to torture people like he was doing with Ragatha in the Friar. At this point, he asks Pomni how she is doing, and Pomni begins to respond like she would with any other character. But she quickly stops herself when she realizes it's Jax who is asking this. At this point, Pomni becomes suspicious, and you can see her wondering what Jax is up to. As in her mind, why else would Jax be asking how she's doing if he wasn't planning to mess with her? But Jax isn't just tired here, and he isn't just seeking validation for his own tiredness, I think. As when Gangle tells him to get to cleaning, he gives a very serious goodbye to Pomni, at least by Jax standards. All he says is later Pomni, but the way he says it is with a very hang in there tone, a very I get it myself inflection.
God, I'm on it! Later, Pomni.
It made a lot of viewers feel like Jax was being sincere with Pomni, as opposed to just seeking validation from her for his own exhaustion. Thanks to this episode, we know that Gangle was a real-life shift manager outside of the digital circus. But this scene makes me think that Jax was a lower-level employee at a similar job, and that it was a very humbling experience for him. In the real world, it could be the one place where he has to put up with whatever he is told. While Gangle would have some of her greatest highs in the workplace because of her authority as a shift manager, Jax would be at his lowest point there, perhaps leading to him acting a lot more like a bully everywhere else. When in this state at the workplace, however, Jax doesn't become more mean, and instead becomes more friendly. It's kind of sad that Pomni couldn't just accept his friendliness here, but I don't really blame her with how Jax acts everywhere else, and unfortunately, this could cause problems down the road. This isn't the only time Jax may have reached this low, I think, as at the end of episode 2, a lot of people thought Jax showed signs of wanting to belong to the group when he saw them having a funeral for Kaufmo. Some interpreted Jax's expression as being upset that they were using this time for that kind of ceremony, but others saw it as him feeling left out and perhaps even mourning Kaufmo himself. To a lot of fans, this simply means that Jax has a good side that we will see more and more of as we get into situations that make Jax feel sad and limited. And for the sake of drama, I have to imagine this will reach a breaking point by the end of the show. And the real question there becomes whether or not anyone will be there to console him. When he tried to connect with Pomni, she was quick to think that this was just some sort of plot of his. This makes sense considering how insensitive Jax has been in the past, particularly when Pomni first arrived. When Kaufmo abstracted, Jax ran out with a smile on his face and didn't seem to care to help Pomni or Ragatha. It honestly felt like he wanted things to get worse, and that's pretty terrifying. Pomni is basically locked in a prison with this madman, one who wants to push people to their limits, in a place where that kind of stress can turn you into an abstracted monster. Pomni likely feels that even if Jax does mean well, he would still use whatever she says against her later, and she knows to always be on guard. This makes even more sense after reading all the suggestions from the suggestion box at the beginning of episode 4, where most of the suggestions seem to be ideas that Jax had to torture the others. We've seen him threaten Ragatha with some of her worst fears specifically, and in episode 3, Jax is the one who ended up getting Pomni and Kinger into the advanced scary side of the haunted mansion. It's because of all of these things and events like them that Pomni has her dream of falling into the abstraction basement, where everyone saves her except for Jax, who she still sees as a dangerous person, or at least someone who she can't connect with. At some point, this could make Jax's only option to interact with the others to be his bullying, and that could end rather tragically. I don't know if Jax feels bad about the way he's treated others when things go to extremes, but even if he does, he still indulges himself with the opportunity to be heinous again. It would be really sad if the show is basically just building up to Jax going on some massive killing spree where he tries to forcibly abstract everyone, deciding that it's finally time to burn the village down when he can't feel the warmth of the others. And on some level, he's kind of already doing this, just in more subtle ways. All that's holding him back, perhaps, is the desire to connect with everyone else, but if people act more like Pomni and basically refuse to talk to Jax outside of what is necessary, he could become unhinged and try to just wipe out everyone else in the game so he can be alone, purposely proving to everyone that he's the terrible person that they think he is. He's already known for exploiting the limitations of the game and trying to figure out what each character's gimmicks and unique abilities are so that he can use them to his advantage, it seems, such as stretching out Pomni in the Candy Kingdom in order to beat the level. But with how easily that can all go wrong when you clip out of bounds in the levels and characters can just go absolutely insane, it wouldn't be hard for Jax to build up a master plan to get everyone abstracted. The only thing standing in his way is Kane, who so far doesn't seem to do anything about it when he plays it off as innocent. Jax even writes off Kane as not dangerous with punishments, but Zooble knows better because they have seen Kane glitch out when he doesn't get what he wants. If Jax had this kind of information, it wouldn't be hard for him to start pushing Kane to his limits, and from there, he'd be free to do what he wants to the others. The show loves its horror elements, and how fun would it be if Kane just glitched out entirely in the finale and Jax went on something of a killing spree trying to hunt down the different characters to make them abstract. But for more on that, subscribe so you don't miss our next video talking about what may happen with Kane's crazy glitches. And if you haven't seen it yet, consider checking out the big breakdown we did of the Disney Atlantis movie, where we talk about the real-life connections it makes with other mythologies to try and prove it's real. See you guys there.